Hello, everyone. My name is Gary. We're wrapping up a very weird week of ukulele here today, and we are going to make it awesome. I'm going to copy this over onto the website. Our website is jollyrogerukulele.com, and in order to do this successfully, I probably need to log into my own website so I can post a link. In the meantime, we also like to tweet these classes so that everybody in the real in the universe can find out about them. Um, let's see. Today is Friday, and we are going to be playing everything from the week. I had a very weird week in that the schedule was not cooperative at all. And we had had a cave in the middle of the week, so everything is all a bit off from what I was hoping it would be. I don't like it when things are all out of whack, and this was a very out of whack week. So uh, hopefully we'll finish Friday strong and things will be great. Those of you who are logging in, if one of you will let me know whether the if the sound is good. We had a problem with sound in the previous in harmonica class, and so I want to make sure it's good. So far, Vic is in, and she says, "So far, so good." And Vic is used to my sound being terrible, so anytime that we get anytime we get a little bit of decent sound, or anytime we get any bad sound, I start to freak out. But Vic says it's good. Well, hopefully it'll hang in there. Yes, colon slash slash Jolly Roger ukulele.com. And I like to tweet our classes because I am told that if we are on Facebook and Twitter, then it helps in our ranking on Google, which makes no sense, but that's what they tell me. And so I've been tweeting our classes so that people are more likely to find us, right? You guys found us, and that's good. Lynn says it must be Friday as it's concert day. Else I have no idea what day it is. That's me. Now I am routinely checking my clock, going, what day? What is today? Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. The other way, I take my I have my vitamin box, the little thing that with all the pills and all the days. And I remember when I got it, I'm like, oh God, this is what I used to have to fill. I used to have to fill my mother's pill box up, and so now I have a pill box. Like that means that can't be good. But those pill boxes are very handy for telling you what day it is. You're like, all right, it says Thursday. Is it Thursday? Did I forget to take my vitamins yesterday? So yeah, I have a little pill box now sitting by the bed, and that helps me remind me which day it is. Also reminds me that I'm old, which is fine. I had decided that this being old business, except for the fact that my body doesn't do anything right anymore, isn't all that bad, right? You're just like, yeah, I don't care what people think anymore. I don't think I ever did. That's what the problem with me. It's not that big of a difference. All right, so I got Twitter going, and so far the sound is good. You guys will let me know if it's not. And I got our website up and running. Let me just make sure that the link goes where I think it's going to go, and it does. And today our plan is to play Yankee Doodle. We'll do that first. That'll be our warm up. And then we missed class on Tuesday and Wednesday. Things fell apart. And then yesterday we worked on the key of C Arpeggio or the key of G Arpeggio for baritone players. So we will play both of those. And then are also going to study Amazing Grace today because we should have studied that yesterday, and so we should have gotten more done this week than we got done. It's okay. We'll get it. Everything will be fine. It'll be fine. You're going to be a great ukulele player. You'll just be a great ukulele player one day later than was originally planned. How about that? It looks like I'm going to need a ukulele. Let me see if I've got one. Hold on. Has a nice musical sound to it. Let's use this one. If you haven't discovered this yet, and I don't talk about equipment very much because we can get confused reading the internet about how much equipment you need to have and what type of equipment, what's the best one, and blah, blah, blah. All of that's ridiculous. Um, uh, if we sat down and I had the very best ukulele, and James Hill or Jake Shimabukuro was sitting here and they had the worst ukulele, they would still sound better than me, right? Probably. Because for the most part, it's not the equipment that's going to make a difference in your playing. It's you're going to make the difference in playing. And the way you make a difference in playing is by showing up, right? You keep showing up, keep working on it, learning the subtleties of all of these techniques we teach. And pretty soon, it doesn't really matter what ukulele is in your hand. You're going to sound good. And then, of course, then at that point, once you're sounding okay, that's the time we start talking about dealing with your instrument. This is an Ohana TK14B, which means it's B stock, which means somewhere on here is some sort of a cosmetic flaw. I don't see it. I don't know where they think cosmetic flaw, but it means you can get it less expensively. I like this discussion about hardwoods and solid woods and so on. This instrument is all laminate. And there's no solid wood on this, even on this. The nice part about this, especially if you live in a dry part of the country, there's a tendency for solid woods to crack. Now, overall, solid woods over time do sound better than laminates, but laminates these days sound pretty good. So I'm not against laminate finishes at all. Saves you a bunch of money. And you end up with a ukulele you have to worry a little bit less about. And so this is not an expensive instrument here, but it's going to sound really nice. One, because I know how to play, but more importantly, we've got it set up here properly. I've got the fret ends taken care of. I've got the playing action adjusted, the actions, how high the strings are off of the fretboard. I've got that adjusted properly. I've changed out the white strings that ukuleles come with and changed it out to fluorocarbon. You do want to do that as a ukulele player. Don't have to do it right off the bat, but you should do it. The fluorocarbon will sound much nicer. It does take 2 or 3 weeks once you change it for them to finally stop stretching. But so I've got an instrument that under $100, right? With a bag, honestly. And it's tenor size, which most adults should be playing tenor size. Changed out the strings, did a professional setup on it, and it's just absolutely a lovely instrument. So the price of your instrument, to some extent, makes a difference in how it's going to play, but not really. You're going to make a difference in what sounds good, and you'll see as I'm playing this today. Perfectly lovely instrument and nothing fancy about it whatsoever. So let's see who made it in today. Vic is here. Lynn is here. Linda in from Colorado Springs. Happy Friday from a sunny southern Colorado. We're getting some snow this weekend, Linda. We're going to get snowed on. Donna is here. Sunny and beautiful in Lakewood. That's right over there. Bruce is in. He's in from Virginia. It's sunny in Virginia. Still killing it weather-wise out there. Cold but sunny, probably. I don't know if it's still cold out there. It's cold over the earlier this week. Nancy, oh my God, Florida is awesome today. 75. It's been 71 and 72 earlier this week. So Nancy was dealing with serious sweater weather down there. But today everything's different. It's 76. Mary and from Golden, Gary, do you go to Starbucks every day? Do I go to Starbucks every day? Yes. That's the short answer. Not every single day, but most every day. I get the cheapest thing they got that's worth drinking. Cold brew is super cheap. $3.50 for that whole amount, and I usually can't drink the whole thing. So I worked at Starbucks for 12 years, and it turns out that it's a little hard to give up at some point. Nancy says sound is good. Jim is in. Greetings from Fort McMurray. A little cool there. Nine is not. Hopefully that's a space. It's not really 9 degrees, is it there, Jim? I hope not. If it is, you need to call the rescue squad. Diane is in today, ready to rock. She's got her baritone these days. Elizabeth in from Bozeman, low flowing clouds and a little bit of snow overnight. That's good. All right, so Elizabeth, it's kind of cold up there. I guess you'd expect that in Bozeman, right? Janice made it in, freezing but good to go, right? So Janice has had a couple of sunny days there this winter, and so she's pressing her luck. Glad you're here, Janice. Ray is in. He's a local here. All right. So we had a little talk about ukulele. I'm using under $100 ukulele. Here's the key things that you're taking away as you're thinking about your ukulele. Have you put on fluorocarbon strings? That's going to make it sound nicer. Are you playing a tenor size? Most adults this size hand should be playing a tenor size. If you have kind of short fingers, you might think about a concert. If you have real meaty fingers, thick fingers, right, you're probably thinking maybe baritone might be the better way to go. Um, on planet Earth, your resources for ukulele are much more solid than they are for baritone. However, you're here. You're at jollyrogerukulele.com. Baritone's going to be equal and even better than, in some respects, baritone players here, where I'm this then in the next year focused almost exclusively on really upping our game baritone wise and making sure you guys have really solid stuff. And at the end of the day, whether you're playing ukulele or baritone isn't going to matter that much, because really what's going to matter is your ability as a musician to create music on whatever happens to be in your lap. 9. 9. That's not a temperature, Jim. That's not a temperature. Okay. That's I don't know what that is. I follow a guy from Yakutsk, Russia, and it's way up in the Arctic Circle, and it is normal for them to have a minus 50 degrees, minus 50. And I'm like, man, you guys, the heat goes out. That's it. You got about 30 minutes maybe to live. 9 degrees is brutal. Ugh, that's terrible. When I was in college, 1983 in Boulder, we had an entire month where it never broke zero. And I remember it like yesterday. I'm like, this is the worst thing that anybody has ever done. And Dennis is minus 1 degree Celsius and sunny in Toronto. Americans, that's pretty cold, right? We don't know what minus 1 is, but we know that it can't be good, right? Not too bad. Minus 1 isn't too bad. That's a nice day. Nice winter day in Toronto. All right. I want us to warm up with Yankee Doodle. So let's go grab that and make that happen. And then let's talk about the other stuff that we're working on. So ukulele players, grab your ukulele one. Baritone players, grab the ukulele one. You're going to accompany us, and then we will switch. Okay, so first off, grab the ukulele version of Yankee Doodle. And it should now be in my library, finally. Let's hope. Ukulele version, Yankee Doodle. Okay, so we're looking at the ukulele page. Ukulele players, you're thinking, all right, I'm going to be playing tough uke, I'm going to be playing melody, I'm going to be playing chords, I'm going to be doing all three of those. Baritone players, all you're looking at is those chords, and you're ignoring the chord shapes. Okay, at this point, we're starting to get a little comfy with that. Your C chord is here. Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pole. And then your G chord is here. Me. And then go back to your C chord, stuck a feather, and then you have your hard F. This is the tough one, you guys. Baritones right off the bat have to deal with this shape. It's a bar here with the E shape in front. So E shape, move it up, add your bar. Okay, and I'm okay with you using a partial bar on F. I think it's going to be better for you long term to use your full bar on all bar chords. A couple of exceptions, but with this one, it's okay. A lot of people will just use a partial bar. Okay, that's your F chord, and then those are your three shapes. So you're going to be strumming your baritone. Make sure when you get to like measure 8, where there's only 2 notes, that you don't play 2 strums. You play 4 strums. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let the ukulele players carry the melody. Same thing in measure 4. You've got 4 beats in there, so don't play C, rest, G, rest. You want to play C, C, G, G. Keep all 4 beats going all of the time. The only measure it's different, measure 16, the last measure, it'll sound dumb if you do 4 strums there. And let the girls be handy, and then stop there. The only time you might go beyond that is if you're going to add in an invisible last measure, which it would be let the girls be handy. And then you would add in a big strum and measure, invisible measure 17. So a lot of times when you get together with other musicians, we always talk about that last measure. How do we want to finish it up? How do we want to end up with, are we going to finish it on beat 3 of 16, or are we going to go ahead and add an invisible measure 17 and finish it up on beat 1 of that, which is also very common. Both of those are choices that you might make. Let's see. 52 and cloudy down there in Texas. Welcome in, Rob. Glad you're here. Yankee Doodle ukulele version. Baritone players, you know what you're doing. Ukulele players, we're going to play it 3 times through. First time, we're going to play chords. Second time, we're going to play melody. Third time, we're going to play tough. Okay? I'll give you plenty of opportunity. By the time you walk out of here today, you're going to have Yankee Doodle stuck in your head. You're going to be walking down the hall. Rob's going to go visit a cat over at the college. He's going to be walking through campus. And people will look at him and they'll think, boy, he's patriotic. Chords first, melody second, tough uke third. Nice and steady. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle, dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls behend. Let's go to the top. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, and then last time through on the tough uke. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, I want to stop just briefly and talk about what you're really doing here and why you should be super proud if you're pulling that off in any manner whatsoever. This is the high level. This is you got 3 separate chords. You've got melody going on. You're doing all kinds of crazy different shapes. You've even got this chord in here, bar on 5, pinky on 8. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on in this song. Now, the song itself, throwaway, right? We don't care about the song, but we do care about all these tools and these skills. And you can then once you start to get commanded, you understand what's going on. I mean, you can turn this into right. You can start adding in all this other fancy stuff. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy about messing it up. Right. When one of the things that I like as a musician is I want to learn the paper. I want to learn what's on here. I want to get it as clean as I can. But then once I get it there, then I want to start pushing a little. I want to say, all right, if I strum really hard on the strums and then toss in this melody or do this or add in extra notes, you could probably pull that off here. right? So if you're feeling like, yep, I see the big picture, I know what I'm really doing here, take some time to just sit down with the paper and goof, right? Make some and add in extra strums, add in extra notes, make some noise, figure out what works, what doesn't work. The more experimental you get once you understand this, the more you can start creating music that's your music, not just sheet music that Gary handed to you, but really create a musical experience for yourself. And once you get where you have a kind of a way of doing things, then all of the songs will start to behave, right? You will be able to go and say, I'm going to play Bohemian Rhapsody and I'm going to make it my Bohemian Rhapsody. That's exactly what the top players do. They take a piece of music and they make it their piece of music. And so easy to talk about, not so necessarily hard to do, or not so easy to do, but start with this and keep moving forward. Okay, let's switch over to the baritone version and we'll do the exact same thing. So if you guys will pull up your baritone version of this, um, and again, make sure you're clear about why we're doing this. I know most of you don't have a baritone, but there's going to come a day when you play with other players. And at that point, you're going to already have a ton of skills of playing stuff from this situation where you're like, yeah, I'm not afraid to play with other people. I play with Gary and he plays baritone. I don't even own baritone. Um, the nice part about playing with other people, one, is that if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. You got to keep going. Two, you start getting used to hearing different sounds going into your ear than your instrument is making, and so you get pretty comfortable with, hey, Gary's playing one thing, I'm playing something totally different, but we sound pretty good together, and that will be true when you get together with it. We have a advanced whatever that means ukulele group that comes here, used to prior to the bug, came here once a week and practice, and I would work with them a little bit, and most of them better players than I am, honestly, really solid ukulele players. But it was fun to watch because they would purposely have all of these different voicings going on, all this different texture of music, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it sounded hideous. But when it sounded hideous, they'd say, well, let's make some changes and see what we can do. And sometimes they had to abandon the songs. All right, ukulele players, you're looking at your G chord here. So don't ignore the shape on the paper. You're playing from baritone music, so you're going to play, this is your G chord. Okay, it sounds different for you. Okay, index, middle, ring. Okay, you are also going to be playing a D chord, which is index, middle, ring here. Okay, that's that shape. And then you also have your C chord. Okay, so that's that shape. Those are your chords. Okay, baritone players, when you play a G chord, yours looks like their C chord. When you play a D chord, it looks like their G chord. Okay, and then when you play a C chord, it looks like their F chord. Okay, so those are your chords. I want to play through the first time, or if you're on baritone, that way. Second time through, we'll play through the melody. And you'll notice the shapes on here are the exact same as the ukulele ones, but that when they are, that puts you into a different key. That's why you're playing in the key of G. And then finally, we'll go through and play the tough axe. Okay? Tough uke for you guys. Chords first, then melody, then chord melody. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. Okay, that's how we play normal ukulele, right? We just sing the words and do the chords, and everybody's happy. It makes a really fun activity. Most ukulele groups, that's what they do, right? They get together, strum, and everybody sings, and hopefully you got one or two singers in the group that actually know how to sing, and everybody has a great time. Then you come to here, and you're like, all right, things are going to be, I don't like singing. Singing's stupid, right? So then we play, let the ukulele do the singing. There's your melody from the top, melody line only. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3, 5, 7, 3, 7, 5, 3, 3, 3, 5, 7, 3, 2, 3, 3, 5, 7, 5, 3, 2, 3, oh, 2, 3, 3, oh, 2, oh, 3, oh, 2, 3, 3, oh, 3, 1, oh, 3, oh, 2, oh, 3, oh, 2, 3, oh, 3, 3, 2, 5, 3, 3. Lovely. Okay. Now, finally, we combine everything together. Ukulele players, you're still doing your chords any way you feel like the right hand should make sense. Either strumming with your thumb, strumming with your finger, plucking with your hands. All of those things are important. I keep kind of leaning over to see whether you can see me on there. I mean, you can see me on there. It's fine. And then baritone players, we're trying the tough acts. Okay. Ultimately, this is what you want to be able to play. And it's not that it's a destination necessary. All of these ways are ways you want to be able to play. This is the hardest way. And so this is something you want to work on. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. Isn't that beautiful? How'd that sound, ukulele players, in your speakers? That coming through, it's a little bit lower voicing, and then you're strumming along with me at a little bit higher voicing. You should get a nice separation of tones there, and that's really something that usually sounds really beautiful. So hopefully, what's coming through your speakers combined with what you're playing is sounding really nice. Okay. All right. Next up, so there's a lot of Yankee Doodle there. Yankee Doodle is a great jumping off point for the stuff we talked about the previous week, which was Spaghetti Monster getting that chord and melody put together, Three Blind Mice, one chord, but chord and melody together. And now we're combining in multiple chords with melody playing and really getting the entire thing. When I go into the next hour's class, the same exact skills that I just used on ukulele are all showing up there. So it's not that all of a sudden the music gets a lot more interesting at the next level, but the skill set is really built here. And so as you're getting this together and you're starting to feel like, yep, I'm starting to see the big picture, really, that means it's time to start digging into, hey, I'm going to start going to the next class as well. And obviously, the music's more complex there. It's harder to play and all that stuff, but it's the same skill set, and it just comes at you a little bit faster. Let's grab the baritone version of Key of C Arpeggio. Let's get these knocked out here real quick. These are, how come this isn't going anywhere? Go grab your Key of C Arpeggio, and I guess mine is still stuck down here in the storage area. Oh, let me get over to that. Baritone. Come on, where are you? H-I. What did I call it? Is it called G? Key of G? G. Oh, it's probably H-I-G. G-H-I. It should be on this page. Where is it? There it is. G major arpeggio. Okay. So, ukulele players, you're going to be playing a G chord and a D chord and a C chord And then down a little bit further down at measure 11, you've got a D7. That's just these two fingers. And then the hard one, measure 14, you have E minor, index, middle, ring. Okay. What I would suggest as ukulele players, just give me one strum per measure. G, D, C, D. Okay, so that's what you're going to give me on a ukulele. Just give me one strum for each of those. Make sure you're not looking at the grid. You're just looking at the name of those chords. This is another thing that you got to do in the beginning is learn, hey, when I see G, I know it's this shape. I don't care what's on the paper. I know that's a G, and I know this is a D, and I know that's a C, and I know this is a D7. Oh, and sometimes we do this one. Sometimes we do this one. And E minor is the toughie, right? That's the chord that took me the longest when I was first starting to get that chord where I could just really do it. And so if you would just give me one beautiful strum per measure, baritone players, we're going to play the tablature. Okay, so remember from yesterday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a D chord. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, and don't use your thumb, baritone players, until page 2. Let's see. Lynn says, sounding nice at her house. Good. Tough Yuga is lovely. My choice. Yeah, it's really fun once you see what's going on there, and you're like, well, I wish I'd have learned how to play this from the very beginning. And so hopefully some of you are at the very beginning. Go back and forth as you know. The grids get you right, and that's one of the skills that I had to learn as a multi instrumentalist. Is that hey, I can't just rely entirely on the paper. I have to use my brain sometimes, and that's not a good thing for me. And hopefully you guys will be better at it. All right, I'm going to play the baritone melody line. Ukulele players, you're giving me one strum per chord. Baritone players, you're playing with me. Okay, we'll play to the bottom page, come back to the top, and then play to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. D chord. C chord. D chord. C chord or G chord. Sorry. D chord. C chord. D chord. New pattern coming up. G chord. C chord. D7. G chord. B minor. C chord. D7. G chord. E minor. C chord. D7. Now we're going to go back to the top of the page. page. Go to your thumb. Two, three, four. Two, three, back to plucking. Okay. Nice little tune. Okay, let's switch to the ukulele version now. Hopefully, ukulele players, you were able to overlook the grids and just play the chords. Baritone players, that's a lot. Okay, so that's one of those many tools that we got to get in place. This is the first time you reach this thing. There's a tendency to get a little discouraged when we're playing something like that because it's a whole lot of music in a very small amount of space, and we're still working on getting this hand together, still getting where this hand can do its things. So don't get discouraged. We got two more arpeggios that come up, and what you'll find is the next time we approach one, it won't be nearly as complex as this one was. And it turns out this one is probably the easiest of the three, but it's certainly not that easy by any stretch of the imagination. Let's go to the ukulele version of this. I think you guys, it's called JFA, if I remember right. I'll find it here. Give me this a second. G-H-I-J-H-I-J-J-F-A, C major. There we go. All right. Ukulele now. Baritone players, you guys, all baritone right now. You got your C chord. Okay. Got your G chord. We just did that. Got your F chord. Okay. And down major 11, you got your G7, which is right here. And then your A minor is that guy. That's one a little more. Think of A minor on baritone as an F shape with adding your ring finger. I'm sorry, a C shape adding your ring finger. Okay, that's your A minor. Okay, those are your shapes. Ukulele players, we're going to play the tough axe just like we just did. Tough uke, the ukulele line, I should say. Trying to get all of the sheet music to match, and there's always one more thing I've forgotten to check. Key of C major from the top, not too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 13. To the top. to plucking. Isn't that nice? That's nice. It's a nice piece of music. Whether you keep it up or not is not terribly much the issue. The issue is, do you know what you're supposed to do at whatever pacing you can do it at? Now, for me, like obviously I've been doing those chords a long time. My hands sort of naturally fall into those shapes. But if you're not quite there yet, this is a great piece to get your finish up the work that you need to do on C, A minor, F, G, and G7. Those five chords are sort of the foundation of what music really is, and so it's really a nice little piece of music to get your toolbox really in good shape with right hand and left hand. Let's see. Janice says at measure 9, could you strum instead of the claw? Measure 9. Okay. Measure 9 says, can I strum there? So here's the thing. Okay. In most of the music I hand out, the answer be heck yeah, do it. Okay. But on these arpeggios and on there's studies, right? And so I have gone through and written down exactly what I'd like you to play. Okay. So in this case, could you do that? Could you come in and say, yeah, absolutely, you could, but I don't want you to, right? Because we're teaching this skill. Okay. And so if I'm a player and I know how to what I'm doing, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care what Gary wrote. I'm going to arrange my idea of this. You could do that. But if I'm teaching you, and especially in anything on the jumping flea arpeggiator, I want you to do what's written. Okay. Because when I created this book, it was to teach myself all of the possible things. And so I wrote down, hey, on this moment I want you to do a thumb. On this one I want you to, on these ones I want you to do plucking. But most of the music I hand out, you have choices. You can pluck, you can strum up, you can do different things until you get sort of your way of doing that. But on etudes like this, where it's really, I don't know if you remember back in the day, ice skaters at the Olympics used to have to do a figure 8, and they would have to go around and they'd have to do it perfectly to move on. And what that basically did was all of the creative skaters couldn't do it that as well, and they got knocked out of the competition. And just the real technicians could play to do this figure 8. And they figured out pretty soon that everybody who's making it into the finals is incredibly uncreative. They're very technically oriented, but not necessarily creative. So they got rid of that. But with etudes, what do they do? Is you're really looking at, hey, I want to get you as tight and clean and as pretty as possible. And I want you to do what's on the paper. And if it doesn't say strum, I don't want you to strum. There are lots of the etudes in the book that do tell you to do strums. And when you get over to measure 21, for example, absolutely you have to do a strum there because it says to. So I'd say, can you do it? Sure. Should you do it? On this book, probably not. In real music, yeah, you might check it out, right? So yeah, just a little bit of just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. In this book, the stuff out of my jumping flea arpeggiator, I want you to do what's written on the paper. And if it doesn't say strum, don't strum. That's will I show up at your house? Janice, stop strumming on measure 9. You're not supposed to. If I'm ever next time I'm in Scotland, I am coming to Janice's house. Show me measure 9. We'll do it. Guys, we're out of time. We're not going to have time to get Amazing Grace in today. Amazing Grace is where we'll start on Monday. Let me run over to the tab and tell you what we're going to be doing for next week. So next week, so this week is the end of key of C. So C, A minor, F, G, and G7. Those 5 chords in key of C major, you want to make sure that those are part of who you are. Like you know what those look like on your instrument. So starting next week, we dive into key of G. So key of G, we add in a couple of newer chords. Amazing Grace, as you're looking at it, the thing with Amazing Grace is to do the least amount of motion possible on your left hand. And so there's some very specific techniques where you just lift one finger up, lift the other finger up. Don't make a big deal out of what's going on in your left hand. It's an old spiritual tune, right? We're trying to get a lot of depth of feeling, so we don't want to be busy monkeying around with our left hand. We're trying to get that smooth and beautiful. We'll be playing Happy Birthday next week. Of all of the songs I teach, of all of them, that's the one where you need to memorize the chords, because that's the one that you are likely at some point to be singing somebody happy birthday and you want to accompany yourself with the ukulele. You don't want to go look up sheet music to do happy birthday. It looks weird. Next, on Wednesday, we'll do La Cucaracha, one of my favorite songs, because we do exactly the opposite. You know how all these songs I teach you, oh, let's make it soft and beautiful and gentle and make it your ukulele ring out. On La Cucaracha, we do the opposite of that. Dun, 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 chunk, chunk, dun, 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 chunk, chunk, right? So that's what we're going to be working on. That is staccato playing, is really getting this in. And then we'll finish up next week on Thursday with All Through the Night, which is another lovely lullaby. And we'll talk about how you take a large piece of music and simplify it and break it into pieces, so that in the event that you decided to memorize a song, that's what that song's very useful. It's 16 measures long, but it's really only 8 measures long when you sit down and study it just a little bit. So next week we've got some more toolbox skills. We're putting all of this stuff into your playing repertoire, so that you can then bring that into music that you care about and music that you want to play, and try these different techniques on them. That's the fun part about the book one here, is that the techniques that you get to use in this are quite vast. Whereas when we get into more advanced music and more grown up type songs, we tend to, it sort of all ends up sounding like a rock ballad after a while. And we may not or may not use all of these fancy skills. Where in level one here, you get to use all of this stuff. I want you to have the whole toolbox, and then we'll see what you make of it down the road. So we've got a good week next week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you are um, free next hour, this is our next to last rehearsal of the stuff we're doing for Monday night's class. And again, I want all of you guys to come to that Monday night class. I want you to play what you can out of the more advanced music that we're doing in the next hour. So don't be shy. Come and sit in on that class, and you'll see how the stuff you're learning here is just more of the same. That's the pace. And so that's where we're at. It's weekend, so try to do a random act of kindness. Be silly and go out and do something cute, cool for somebody. Be safe. If the COVID vaccine becomes available for you, go get it. Practice, right? You guys, not maybe you practice, maybe you don't, but showing up is the hard part, and that's one thing I need to keep you coming. That's what's going to make you a good player. Subscribe and like, and if you're not a member of Jolly Roger Ukulele, the website, go there and read about membership. Just click on the I think is it the subscribe tab or the membership tab? Subscribe tab. Go click on subscribe. Read about becoming a member of the website. Starting next week, the daytime group will have quite a bit different number of types of songs than the nighttime group. The nighttime group gets the good stuff, right? The daytime stuff gets the very good stuff, but they get plenty of good stuff too. But the nighttime class is the stuff that I really think is the stuff you want to play. And so the way to get to that is be a member of the website. So that's that. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, or I'll see you in the next hour. And let's see, where did I leave off? Linda, oh, hey, Linda, you're welcome. Rob, good to see you, bud. Have a great weekend. Janice, fantastic. See you next week. Sounds great, Janice. Mary, good to see you. Glad you're here. Nancy, many thanks for a terrific week of lessons. It was a really rough week for you guys in this time slot. So hopefully I'm rooting for you next week that things would be a much more smooth week of practice. Connie, you're welcome. Ray, you're welcome. And I'll see all of you guys either next hour or I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great, or not tomorrow, Monday. Have a great weekend.